You told yourself just one check before bed. Now you're 3 tabs deep, checking your portfolio and someone's Twitter thread about the next bull run. By the end of this video, you'll know whether you're investing in crypto or whether crypto is investing in you. Because let's start where most crypto psychology videos end, with the thing nobody wants to admit. You're not just researching, you're compulsing. The line between strategic vigilance and something darker? You crossed it somewhere around your 3rd portfolio check today. But here's what makes this interesting, and I need you to stay with me here because this is where it gets weird. That compulsion isn't random, it's serving a function. And there's a psychological term for this that'll make everything click. But first, you need to see what you're actually doing. Think about what you actually do when you invest in crypto. You research protocols, you evaluate white papers, you make independent decisions and watch them play out in real time. Compare that to your 401k, a black box you contribute to and hope someone else doesn't mess up. Crypto gives you something most financial systems don't: agency. This is the term. Psychologists call it locus of control, the belief that your actions directly influence outcomes. And study after study shows that people with internal locus of control report lower anxiety and higher life satisfaction. So you should feel great, right? But here's the paradox. Crypto investors are some of the most anxious people in finance. You've felt this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Why? Because agency without stability creates hypervigilance. You're not anxious despite having control. You're anxious because you have it. Every decision is yours. Every loss is yours. There's no institution to blame, no advisor to fire, just you and the consequences. So you check the charts again, because not checking feels like negligence, like you're failing at the one thing you can actually influence. And this is where most people stop. They think, I just need more discipline, more self-control. But that misses what's actually happening, because there's a second layer to this that nobody talks about, and it explains why you can't just stop. When you invest in crypto, you're not just buying an asset, you're buying into an ideology. Decentralization, financial sovereignty, exit from systems that weren't built for you to win, and once your money is tied to your worldview, something shifts in your brain. Psychologists call this identity protective cognition. Your investment becomes an extension of your beliefs. So when someone calls crypto a scam, your brain doesn't process it as financial criticism. It processes it as a threat to you. And threats to identity trigger the same neural circuits as physical threats: fight or flight, cortisol, adrenaline. That's why you can't just shrug off the critics. That's why you argue in comment sections at midnight, because your nervous system is treating skepticism like an attack. Now, here's the part that'll either validate you or make you uncomfortable. Maybe both. That emotional intensity, it's not a weakness, it's information. Emotional investing gets a bad reputation because we're taught that good decisions require detachment, cold rationality. But that model assumes stable systems with predictable outcomes. Crypto is neither stable nor predictable. It's an experimental space where fundamentals shift weekly and social consensus can collapse overnight. In that environment, your emotions are pattern recognition. When you feel uneasy about a project despite good tokenomics, that's irrationality. That's your brain aggregating signals your conscious mind hasn't articulated yet. When hype feels off, when fear seems disproportionate, when something just doesn't sit right, those feelings are data. Rational investors set and forget. That works for index funds. It fails in frontier markets. Your emotional engagement keeps you calibrated, adaptive, present. You've known this. You just didn't have language for it. And this is the turn. There's a version of this that works and a version that destroys you. And the difference is thinner than you think. Here's the test. And be honest with yourself. Can you sit with a 30% drawdown without checking prices for a week? Can you watch a coin pump without FOMO buying? Can you see red candles without panic selling at the bottom? Can you be wrong about a trade without it destabilizing your self-worth? And if you're in altcoins, multiply all of this by 10. Because altcoins don't just move, they whipsaw. A token can pump 300% in a week and dump 80% in a day. Your portfolio becomes a psychological stress test. Every notification is a potential life-changing gain or devastating loss. You're not investing anymore. You're white-knuckling through emotional vertigo. The volatility doesn't just affect your money. It rewires how you process risk, how you sleep, how you show up in your actual life. If the answer to any of those questions is no, then the feelings aren't informing your decisions. They're making them. And that's when agency turns into compulsion, when locus of control becomes illusion of control. You know the difference. You've felt both sides of it. There's the version of you that's engaged, strategic, learning. And there's the version scrolling through charts at 2 a.m. looking for certainty that doesn't exist. One is empowered, the other is just exhausted. And here's what I promised you at the start. The answer to whether you're investing in crypto or crypto is investing in you. You can participate in crypto without it consuming you, but only if you're honest about what you're actually looking for. Are you investing because the technology makes sense, or because the volatility makes you feel alive? Are you building wealth, or are you building an identity around being the person who saw it coming? These aren't moral questions, they're diagnostic ones. Because if crypto is meeting a need that has nothing to do with money, if it's filling a void around purpose or community or feeling like you're ahead of the curve, then no amount of profit will satisfy it. You'll just move the goalpost again and again. But if you're investing because you genuinely believe in decentralized finance, because you've assessed the risk and it aligns with your goals, because you can lose the money and still sleep, then the 2 a.m. chart checks aren't necessary. They're just habit, and habits can change. You're not broken for caring about this, but you might be using it to avoid caring about something else. Only you know what that is. The question was never whether crypto is good or bad. It's whether your relationship with it is making you more capable or more dependent, more free or more trapped. Most people won't ask themselves that, but you're still here, which means you already know the answer. So here's the real test. If you couldn't check prices for a month, what would you feel? Relief or panic? Drop it in the comments. I actually want to know.